Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chasing a Murder. And today we are on part 80, guys, of Life Beyond the Grave, attached to the Lori Vallow case. That is insane that we are just on 80. We're not even a quarter way through on this series. I don't know about you, but one of my biggest concerns was how in the world did this case get to where it did? How did she get away with all the murders for so long when they were so blatant about it? So right now we are still in the 2019 timeline. So this part of the timeline is certainly important, and it's going to be packed with some very strange things, very strange beliefs, and a very strange group of people. So we learned that Melanie Gibb and Lori Vallow, they become great friends. But what did they have in common? Well, in an interview with Nate Eaton on East Idaho News, she shared a bit of information on how she and Lori connected.
A bit more.
Tell me how you met Lori.
So I was teaching a class at church one evening, and she was there, and she introduced herself to me.
And what was that encounter like?
She was very excited to hear the things I was teaching, and so when I went out to the hallway, she came up to me and introduced herself, and she told me about a lot of personal experiences that she had that were spiritual in nature, and we just hit it off.
So from there, a friendship developed.
Yeah.
And what was that relationship like?
Wow.
In the beginning,
yeah.
What was it like?
So we talked often about our experiences that we had spiritually, and we talked about some of our trials that we've overcome, and we talked a lot about the second coming as well, and how excited we are for the things that we've been studying and learning. And so just a lot of interest in that area. Mm-hmm. And we just talked about life and being a mom, and JJ being a handful, being autistic, and what that was like. And we just talked about our life.
Do you remember what year that was, Melanie, when you met her?
Yeah, that was 2018, about October.
October of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw JJ, you saw Tylee, you knew that
Absolutely.
She was raising the kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And at what point did she meet Chad? Because you knew Chad and you knew Lori, but they were separate relationships.
Correct. So I met her first. Well, I met him, within years, but didn't know him super close or anything like that. So then I meet her, and then her and I decided that we're going to go to an event in St. George. And so we drove down together, and then he was selling his books and speaking. And so that's when they got to meet. So that was probably October, November, somewhere in that time frame.
So we have learned that Lori Vallow, for years, according to Charles Vallow, 5 years ago, her visions started to change, and they just get worse as the years go by. We learned that Adam Cox, he was very concerned, but he wasn't too concerned to the point he should intervene. Where Adam Cox and Lori Vallow used to be close, they've drifted apart. This is due to her new belief system and the fact he doesn't support her ideas. And as she continues to read these books that he doesn't support, her goddess status grows. She becomes more obsessed with these end days, and she's completely upset with the fact that Adam doesn't believe that she's meant to be a leader of this 144,000. Whereas Lori and Adam weren't close. Now, Lori and Alex Cox, their relationship is growing. And Adam is able to see the family members supporting Lori, though he's like, I don't get it. But what gets to Adam, I think, the most is when Lori says that Charles is no longer Charles and that he's a guy named Ned Snyder. And the spirit possessing Charles' body is an inch shorter. Lori wasn't fooled that this was Charles anymore. And do all these people surrounding Lori, following Lori, believe that Charles is no longer in his own body? Some people believe that she knew exactly what she was doing and who Charles was. It was just an excuse for her to continue harassing him. Some people believe that she believed that this evil spirit took over his body, and just didn't see him the same. Another concerning issue is the fact that Lori's able to see dark spirits. She can read these spirits that are around you, me, or anyone. This kind of leads you to believe there's a possibility that that narrative they're pushing, that Chad was pushing this on her, Lori was already dabbling in the dark spirit ideas. And this power to see dark spirits, it grows into a place where she'll be able to deem people dark spirits and dark zombies. So did Chad ever really tell Lori about the definition of these zombies over the phone? And we will learn that there'll be several people that claim that Lori was basically the zombie specialist. Remember, guys, it's during this time that you'll see Lori interacting with several podcasts with Jason Mel, Melanie Gibb, and Chad Daybell. Chad is beginning to put out these little ranking systems and send them out to other people. And here's the thing, is he's including people such as celebrities. Oprah being one of those celebrities marked as dark. Chad and Lori are quick to push a plan to start gathering the people for their followers that support their leadership in this 144, the Church of the Firstborn. And it appeared that once you gather those people, they want to put these people on a piece of property near Chad's property. And I'll show you why I say that as we move forward. Many of them would live in tents surrounding his property. In reality, they actually mention that some people will live in tents, but Lori says she would not be living in a tent. She's not a camper. Where most people were taught in the LDS religion that Missouri would be kind of the place you would gather, it doesn't seem to be their focus. Lori is writing in text and talking to a few friends like Zelima, saying that Charles is blocking her heavenly gifts, and there's mention of harming Charles. So there's hints that she's wanting to do more than just do castings in order to get rid of this dark spirit within Charles Vallow. Melanie Gibb and Lori Vallow, well, they're hanging out every single day. And Lori, well, she's obsessed with the fact that her husband is now consumed by a dark spirit. And she has plans to actually torture the spirit. And Melanie Gibb is hanging out with Lori Vallow every single day during this time. Lori has demanded that her family ignore Charles. Do not talk to him. Do not answer the phone. This includes her own son, Colby Ryan. And Zach, well, her nephew, is worried that he's going to be kicked out of the house if Lori catches him talking to Charles. So Zach is actually worried and confused, very confused during this time. He isn't sure which path to take. The whole entire family is a mess. A lot of controversy, a lot of constant drama. And who is in the middle of it? Well, Lori Vallow. And Lori's been actually purchasing food storage supplies for herself, her brother, and many others. This is actually draining to their financial assets. And the more Lori starts traveling to these places, the more financially in debt they get. Their home is no longer a home. She doesn't see it as a home. Like I said, she has the food storage in there and just really doesn't care about the home. Her obsession with the death and afterlife has really taken its toll. And she believes the next life is going to be better than the last. In fact, you will have to suffer. Her kids will have to suffer in order to get to that next life. And Lori was actively recruiting during this time as well, including her family members, and Adam's just one of the few who said no. Sometime in January, Lori begins castings, and they do it at Zelima's home. And remember, Lori believes that all these financial problems, well, they're being brought in because Charles is now carrying a dark spirit. anything bad happening within the household or within the family, it's not her fault. It has something to do with Satan targeting her. Targeting her because she's a high rank messenger of God. And we know right now that Lori truly believes that she's even talked to some dark spirits because she's talked to God. She's talked to Jesus. She's talked to Moroni. And she's getting, a little bit more and more aggravated with her own kids. And she refers to JJ as being a handful.
JJ being a handful, being autistic and what that was like. And, she was.
Something you will often hear that Lori refers to JJ as. She's struggling handling JJ. So we hear Lori mention before JJ come along that dealing with family and kids and being a wife, well, she was a ticking time bomb. Being a mother was hard. JJ was difficult for her. She was struggling. Tylee was even a problem. Not too long ago, they were having big arguments between Charles, Lori, Colby, and Tylee. Charles' concerns grow each and every day because Lori is staying at the temple more each and every day. She refers to Jesus giving her pointers on what to do with her day. And Charles wasn't too worried about it until recently. He had seen these changes come over the last 4 to 5 years. Lori had already mentioned that her marriage to Charles for 10 years was a nightmare. And this had me wondering, if this is true, was he just something to keep her comfortable?
For JJ and whatever, because he's all about JJ. He's never about Tylee, but he's all about JJ. Because we adopted him together. He's his great nephew. We adopted him as a baby. But I don't like him and don't want to deal with him, so that's just how it is. So we married for 14 years, we dealt with him for 14 years, and him being horrible to her. Like, he gets in huge fights with her. A lot of things. But anyway.
I think that's important to understand that Tylee never got along with any of the men that Lori was with. And this could cause a problem for the future for her, so remember that. She complains that she's been married to this guy, Charles, and she's not been happy. And Charles is being thrown into an ocean along with his son JJ to fight for his life and not even being thrown a life jacket. There's no doubt in my mind that Tylee and JJ, well, they're seeing this chaos daily. They are trapped. They have no one to save them. And I know that Tylee Ryan is a very intelligent girl. And I wonder, is she slipping deeper and deeper into a dark place? And she can't tell a soul. If she does, well, she knows what she's in store for. Tylee is there. She knows what her mother's dealing with. And she's smart enough, again, to understand what her mother's doing. And she must have knew so much more than anyone could ever know. Right now, she's witnessing her mother buy burner phones, demand people not to talk to her father because he has a dark spirit taking over his body. She's talking to a strange man nearly every single day. And she's hearing her stepdad beg family members to help him help her.
Is this just all recent, or has it been going on?
It's been going on for about 4 or 5 years. It's gotten really, really bad lately. She goes to the temple every day and speaks with Moroni and Jesus Christ. And they tell her what to do. And now she came to her today, and last couple of days she says, I'm not Charles. You're not Charles. You're Nick Schneider. Where she gets his names from. She got all this stuff with these people in Utah who tell her how many past lives she's had and probation she's had. And she's was married to Moroni way back when, and she was also married to James the Just. And
Okay, this is all foreign to me. So
it's hard to me.
Well, I'm not LDS.
It's crazy stuff.
Let's go back to an interview where Lori explains her marriage at this time to an officer.
But he's always mad at me, right? And he doesn't want a divorce, but I don't like him and don't want to deal with him, so that's just how it is. So we married for 14 years, we dealt with it for 14 years, and him being horrible to her. Like, he gets in huge fights with her, a lot of things, but anyway.
Did you notice her demeanor? Very strange for a woman her age. She also has concerns about his relationship with Tylee.
He's all about JJ, he's never about Tylee, but he's all about JJ. He's all about JJ, he's all about JJ, he's never about Tylee, but he's all.
I noticed that this is not something a responsible, loving mother would talk about with her children. Someone that she raised together with Charles. Her entire marriage, she's been miserable. And her number of misery through that marriage, well, it varies. But one thing that is for certain is she was never happy with Charles. And that must be a little bit shocking to a lot of people who thought that they knew Lori. It must be confusing for the kids involved with this case. So a lot of us wonder, what was the purpose of being with Charles Vallow for so many years? I think a lot of you can guess. Share it in your comments below. There's no doubt in my mind that Melanie Gibb knows exactly what's going on here. They're making these plans to go hang out. They're using his money. And Lori is making plans to actually head to Hawaii soon. And she doesn't plan on taking JJ. Her and Charles have had many arguments over money so far. She has been spending it left and right. But once Lori gets something in her head, she's going to do it. Doesn't matter if they have the money or not. She will find a way. So the rest of the family, they admit it. They try to support Lori's beliefs during this time, even if they are crazy. And instead of seeking help to get, to stop this from advancing, they go along with ignoring Charles and treating him as an outcast. He's the only one that seems to care. Well, except for Adam and Zach, but they're not wanting to get in the middle of this crazy mess. And it's not because they didn't care to stop it. I don't think any of them knew how bad it really was. And Charles is begging the family. He's trying to reach out to them, but they continue to ignore him. He's like, we got to help her. She's not right. She's off her rocker. And if you think JJ's not feeling all of this disaster, that's probably why his behavior is bad. He's not taking his medication like he should. Not unless he's with Charles. Let's listen to what Charles says once more.
Trying. 2 days.
Okay.
But she's lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a God, and remember the 144,000. Jesus is coming next year. She took all the money out of her bank account today. My truck is gone from the airport. She went to the airport and got it.
And a lot of you guys are like, what is happening? Well, we're going into that just shortly. So while Charles is trying to figure out what is going on with his wife, because he doesn't know 100% yet, Lori, Melanie Gibb, Chad Daybell, Jason Mao, well, they're making more podcasts together. The family's a disaster, but Lori's having a great time. Her 2 children are struggling a lot. And this is where it done it for me. She doesn't seem to have any concern for neither of her children. She doesn't care that her husband is not doing well. She doesn't care that she's just separated her family by a lie from her husband, who seemed to love her family. She's having a good time with her new friends making podcasts. There's a second part to a podcast that she is doing with Chad and several other people like Jason Mao, Melanie Gibb. The topic is actually about, what's coming to America, which is disaster, war, and it's going to talk a little bit about spiritual gifts, visions, dreams, and understanding what they are. And they're teaching that these spiritual gifts, these voices that you're hearing, these visions that you're seeing, they are to teach you how to walk in your faith and to become more open to revelation. revelation of your own life, revelation of the future, your friends, your family. And they talk a lot about Jesus Christ and how to follow his love and how he's always given to mankind. Of course, along with all this, they push their books, so they're making money through this. And Lori has a journal that we've yet to see that she's writing in, preparing for her book. Jason Mao is hanging out with these guys, that's true, but there's no evidence that he really knows what's going on with these guys. He's not been at their castings or anything like that. So when is the perfect time to tell her family that Charles has been cheating on her? Well, while he's off on a business trip, January 19th of 2019. Lori has got her friend Melanie Gibb to go in on a sabotage. Lori Vallow plans to sabotage Charles Vallow before he returns home from his business trip. And this will be actually confirmed through several other witnesses, such as April Raymond, which we'll talk about later. Lori Vallow plans, firstly, to get the money out of his banking account. Well, there's nothing really left in the regular checking, so Lori will have to focus on Charles' business account, the place where he depends to make his payroll, to make money for the family. And this was another clue to let you know that Lori Vallow had no intentions of caring about the family. She informs Melanie of everything she wants to do, and Melanie agrees to help her, the woman that says she doesn't like drama. They decide that they're going to leave this house that Charles purchased for her and the kids not long ago, mind you, take Charles' truck from the airport before he returns back to Arizona, leaving him stranded. And before she does all this, well, she's going to inform Charles that she knows that he's been taken over by a dark spirit and that he's no longer Charles. This is where we're going to pause. Marinate on all that I just shared with you on this video. Lori Vallow, her intentions says clearly that she never had any concerns for anyone other than herself, for those who wonder. It took a lot of researching because she had a lot of people groomed to say that she was this great super person. Truth of the matter is Lori knew exactly how to give and how much to groom people into believing who she was. The giving was not to help people. It was to set people to be her little supporters so that they would do as she needed them to do when she needed it done. I love you guys. Thank you for being so patient with me. This has been so much work. I can't even describe it. A lot of hours, up to thousands of hours. But it's been worth it because there is a message we needed to get out, a truth, and we're doing that. Please make sure that you subscribe and like. You can give to our Patreon at Chasing a Murderer. And if you can't give, you can definitely share the videos. Give us a good word. See you guys soon.